There is a nest somewhere in the reeds. A small bird lands on its edge with food in her beak. She leans down, feeds the chick, flies off, and returns again. And again. She has been doing this for hours. The creature in the nest is already larger than she is. Its mouth is enormous. Its body barely fits inside the cup of woven grass. It calls, and she answers. But it is not her chick. It never was. And the question that follows, the question that is almost impossible not to ask, is this. Does she know? Not in the way we would mean it. Not as a story she can tell herself. But somewhere inside her body, inside the ancient machinery of recognition, care, hunger, danger, and response, a battle is taking place. And that battle is the beginning of one of the most extraordinary stories in the natural world.
Everyone knows the cuckoo. Not because most people have seen one. Cuckoos are shy, solitary birds, more often heard than watched. But because almost everyone knows the sound. That two-note call has passed through European languages, children's songs, old clocks, spring mornings, and human imagination for centuries. We think we know the bird behind it, the absent parent, the parasite, the cheat, the bird that leaves its young in someone else's home and disappears. But the closer you look, the less useful those words become. Because the cuckoo is not just a story about deception. It is a story about pressure, about how one life pushes against another until both begin to change.
The common cuckoo, Cuculus canorus, does not build a nest. It does not incubate its eggs. It does not raise its young. In a single breeding season, a female may lay up to around 20 eggs, placing each one into the nest of another bird. Across Europe and Asia, many different species can become hosts. But she does not choose blindly. Individual female cuckoos often specialize in particular host species. A female whose lineage targets reed warblers will seek out reed warbler nests. Another lineage may target meadow pipits, another redstarts. And over generations, those lineages have evolved eggs that resemble the eggs of their chosen hosts. Blue-green, speckled, pale, brown, veined, or mottled. Not as decoration, but as a survival strategy. An egg that looks too strange may be rejected. An egg that looks close enough may be accepted. And in that small difference, an entire life begins or ends.
This is not mimicry in the loose, casual sense. It is mimicry refined by failure. Every cuckoo egg that was too obvious disappeared from the future. Every egg that came a little closer to the pattern in the host's nest had a better chance of being warmed, protected, and fed into life. Selection did not make a perfect copy overnight. It made a long series of almosts. Almost the right color, almost the right pattern, almost invisible. And that is enough for evolution to begin sharpening a disguise. But the host birds were not passive. Reed warblers, meadow pipits, dunnocks, redstarts, the birds targeted by cuckoos have not simply stood still while this happened to them. They too have been shaped. In populations exposed to cuckoos over many generations, host birds can become better at noticing foreign eggs, better at comparing pattern and color, better at deciding when something in the nest is wrong. The cuckoo improves, the host improves, and neither side is ever allowed to rest.
This is what scientists call a co-evolutionary arms race. One adaptation creates the need for another. A better disguise produces a sharper eye. A sharper eye produces a better disguise. And the struggle continues, not because one side is foolish, but because both are good enough to keep the other under pressure. That pressure reaches into the smallest details of behavior. Before a female cuckoo lays, she must watch. She must find the right nest at the right stage, when the host has begun laying but has not yet finished. Too early, and the egg may be abandoned. Too late, and the timing will fail. Then, she must move quickly. At reed warbler nests, video recordings have shown cuckoos laying under attack in only a few seconds. There is no long pause, no peaceful settling into the nest. There is a rush of wings, alarm calls, assault from the host, and one astonishing act of compression. An egg laid in the length of a breath.
In many cases, the cuckoo removes one of the host's eggs before she leaves. One egg taken, one egg left behind. The nest still looks full. The count still feels familiar. And by the time the host returns, the intruder is gone. Nothing in this scene lasts long. That is part of what makes it so unsettling. A few seconds at the edge of a nest can redirect weeks of labor, hunger, vigilance, and care. If the egg is accepted, the second act begins. The cuckoo chick often hatches before the host's own young, blind, naked, helpless by any ordinary measure. And yet, in its first hours of life, it begins to perform one of the most precise behaviors in nature. It works its way beneath the other eggs. It braces them against its back, and it pushes. One by one, the host's future goes over the rim.
This is not cruelty. Cruelty requires intention. The chick is not making a moral choice. It is not angry. It is not aware of what those eggs mean to the bird who warmed them. What it has is a reflex, brief, powerful, and astonishingly specific. For a few days after hatching, the drive to eject whatever touches its back is active. Then it disappears, as if evolution opened one narrow door in the body, let one behavior pass through, and closed it again. What remains is a single chick, alone in the nest, growing fast, and now it faces a different problem. It must persuade a much smaller bird to keep feeding it. The answer is sound. A single cuckoo chick can produce a begging call that does not sound like one hungry mouth. It sounds more like a brood. Its rhythm, intensity, and repetition create the impression of many nestlings calling at once. The foster parent hears urgency, and the urgency reaches the deepest part of her parental response. Feed. Return. Feed again. From the outside, the scene looks impossible. A tiny bird feeding a giant chick that does not resemble her own. But the parent is not responding to size in the way we are. She is responding to signals. and the cuckoo chick has evolved to speak in the language that matters most inside the nest: need. And in another cuckoo, evolution found a different answer to the same question. The Horsfield's hawk cuckoo, found in parts of East Asia, does not rely only on sound. Its chick has markings on the underside of its wings, bright patches that can resemble open mouths. When the chick spreads its wings in the dim interior of the nest, the foster parent may see not one begging gape, but several. One real, two false. A single chick creating the illusion of a brood. This is the same problem, solved through a different sense. One cuckoo lineage makes one mouth sound like many. Another makes one body look like many. Acoustic deception in one place. Visual deception in another. Evolution does not repeat itself exactly, but under the same pressure, it often finds rhyming solutions.
And then the story becomes even less simple. In Spain, researchers studying the great spotted cuckoo and the Eurasian magpie found something that did not fit neatly into the usual category of parasite and victim. The cuckoo chick produces a strong-smelling secretion. To us, it is unpleasant. To predators, it can be enough to keep them away. In years when predator pressure is high, magpie nests containing a cuckoo chick may survive better than nests without one. The parasite, under certain conditions, can protect the host. This does not make the relationship kind. It does not erase the cost. But it does remind us that nature does not organize itself around the moral categories we bring to it. Parasite, victim, thief, protector. In the wild, these borders can shift when the pressure changes. What matters is not what we call the relationship. What matters is what survives. There is another piece of evidence that takes time to absorb. Across several continents, researchers have found that very different bird species can produce strikingly similar alarm calls when they encounter brood parasites near their nests. These birds are separated by geography, separated by deep evolutionary time. Many have never encountered one another. And yet, under the pressure of the same kind of threat, they have arrived at something remarkably similar, a sound that draws attention to a parasite at the edge of the nest. Not a hawk, not a cat, a nest parasite. This matters because it suggests something larger than one species learning one trick. It suggests that the pressure created by brood parasites has been strong enough, old enough, and consistent enough to shape not only eggs and eyes, but communication itself. The cuckoo did not teach these birds in any ordinary sense, but it helped create the world in which this signal became useful. Which brings us back to the question that has been running beneath all of this. What does intelligence look like when it does not look like us? The orcas of Punta Norte showed us intelligence carried through culture, a dangerous skill passed from mother to calf, generation after generation. The octopus showed us intelligence without inheritance of experience, a mind that must meet the world almost entirely alone. The spotted hyena showed us intelligence hidden inside society, a political mind built from rank, memory, alliance, and recognition. And the cuckoo offers another answer. Not intelligence as tenderness, not intelligence as teaching, not intelligence as social memory, but intelligence as pressure, as a force moving between species, as a contest in which one mind
one body, one lineage, becomes sharper because another has made life harder. The cuckoo does not set out to improve its hosts. It has no plan to make them more watchful, more discriminating, more communicative. But that is what pressure can do. It can make perception sharper. It can make signals clearer. It can make life more inventive, because life has been given no easier choice.
Every spring, across Europe and Asia, the cuckoo's call rises from trees, hedgerows, wetlands, and fields. Most of us hear it as a sign of the season, a small sound announcing warmth, green leaves, the return of life. But once you know the story behind it, the call changes. It is no longer only a song of spring. It is the sound of an ancient negotiation, still unfinished. A signal from a bird that does not raise its young, yet has shaped the parenting, perception, and communication of countless others. A voice from one side of a boundary that neither species can fully cross, and neither species can fully escape. The cuckoo is not a story about a bad mother. It is not even only a story about deception. It is a story about the strange creativity that appears when life presses against life for long enough. About how nature builds intelligence not in comfort, but in tension. Not in stillness, but in response. And perhaps that is one of the deepest things the cuckoo can show us, that intelligence does not always begin as a thought. Sometimes it begins as a problem the world refuses to stop asking. And somewhere in that question, another story is already waiting. Subscribe to go deeper.